Hi, John. You look nice today.
Oh, thank you very much. I think your warning is probably appropriate every time I talk, even if I'm not going to be talking about particularly mature themes. It's when I talk about immature themes that you probably need to warn your audience more. But hey, I'm always happy to take up some time on your show.
Now,
But I would like to talk about something called intimacy.
intimacy. Now, set you up for this one on purpose to an extent, because for some people they think, oh, intimacy, that just means sex, doesn't it? And whilst it does mean that, the need for intimacy in a non-sexual way, something that the world has just too little of.
Absolutely. I'm interested that people would define intimacy as sex because I used to speak at assemblies and classes and things in schools on sex,
Yeah,
and it would be one of the things I'd distinguish between that people can have very active sex lives and never experience intimacy.
yeah.
And I used to find intimacy as that relaxed kind of friendship and closeness you can have with that person, where you can be naked with that person. And I don't just mean naked with your clothes off, I mean
Yeah.
naked in your unguarded self. So they know your faults and your failings, your weaknesses, the things you're not good at, and they love you anyway.
Yeah, which is
And
so
where you
important.
can be, yeah,
I was going to say, I just think it's become one of those euphemisms
mm,
or metaphors that we use in church when we mean sex, but we can't say that because we're in church. So so we say
of
intimacy
course
with
you
a
can't.
sort of knowing look, and people go, "Ah, you mean sex," but you don't say that out loud. You just say intimacy
No,
and hope that people take the leap. But actually, I think this is such an important point. These are two separate categories. You can have one without the other,
yeah.
and actually, intimacy in itself is a good thing. Although sexual activity without intimacy just leads to some pretty terrible places.
Yeah, you can be very, very lonely, even in a vigorous sexual relationship, because you're not having that sense of closeness, openness, and especially safety.
Yeah,
That's another thing about intimacy. You feel you can be unguarded and safe with that person. The other person could hurt you, but because you're so open to them, but you know that you can trust them. And so intimacy is far more likely to come from good communication and time spent with that person and working alongside and living alongside that person than anything that you got from some manual.
yeah.
But actually, that was, in a sense, what I'm going to say sounds paradoxical, and that is you can't have that level of intimacy without boundaries. Now, you'd think that boundaries would be an obstacle
Yeah.
to intimacy, but you can't actually have intimacy with people um, unless you feel safe with them.
Hmm.
If you had a neighbor, and we're talking about a different type of intimacy now, but if you had a neighbor who
Well,
just,
God called us to love our neighbour, but not in that way, perhaps.
yeah, yeah, who just walked into your property, came in through your door, checked out your fridge to see what was there,
Yeah.
started going through your computer, you know, asking personal questions, you'd say, oh, well, you obviously have no boundaries with that person. Do you have intimacy with them? No,
No.
because there is a boundary, and it's of hard, chilled steel around your heart towards that neighbor
And there's a
because they're
fence,
prying
and
and
maybe there
rude.
should be a restraining order. Just say,
I think so. Get a good dog.
yeah, that's good.
Good fences do make good neighbors in that sense.
Yeah, yeah,
And you also need boundaries with your family and your boss and your partner just to feel safe. When you feel safe with them, you can be less guarded, you can be open, you're more willing to be friendly.
yeah.
And you can't, I don't feel often sympathy for bullies,
Hmm.
but I think bullies must be incredibly lonely
Yeah.
because nobody feels safe with them. You don't feel unguarded with a bully. They can demand things from you, but people never readily give of themselves to a bully
Yeah.
because bullies push past boundaries. And so, if you're wanting to have a close and loving relationship with a person, you need some boundaries around the things that you still guard as private, around the things around your time, around your money, around your free will.
Hmm.
And some people might feel that is rejection,
Yeah.
but the people that actually love you will accept the fact that you have your own time and your own space and your own property
Yeah.
and won't demand those things. They might occasionally bump up against your boundaries by being perhaps a bit too presumptuous or nosy or clumsy in their interpersonal skills. But if you have good boundary skills, you can bounce people without hurting them.
Yeah.
And there's some little techniques and things that I've picked up over the years that just have helped with that. Where you can say, Mum, yeah, I'd love to take you shopping. I'll check my diary and see when I'm free.
Yeah.
So you've just said, yes, I'd love to, but I've also, no, not today.
Yeah.
And so you've said, yes, when I've got the time, when it's convenient. And you've expressed to them, hey, I'm very willing to help because I love being with you, but it's not going to be today. Let
Yeah.
me check my diary.
Part of the
And
challenge of this one, though, is this is a deep set need for all of us, and it's the lack of intimacy overlaps with loneliness so much that it's almost 100%. So those people that lack intimacy, those people that are hungry for it, those people that have perhaps got more time on their hands than you, that can create problems unless we're maintaining our fences and our boundaries, because they're perhaps expecting, in their desperate need for connection and intimacy and being seen, expecting that they can phone you anytime, day of night, or turn up at your house and all those sorts of things. And that can create problems unless you maintain that boundary.
That's right. I mean, you're just maintaining control over your boundaries, not trying to control them. They are at greater risk, I guess, of saying yes, yes, yes to every proposal and request and everything. So, yeah, so that's something to be guarded about.
Yeah.
We're often have very reasonable requests for, financial help from our churches and charities and things. And so, you'd run yourself into penury if you responded to everything, and you've got to be responsible and good stewards. And so, how do you say no to them without them feeling hurt? I find something like that's a great cause, and I really wish you well, but my giving budget is already totally committed.
Yeah.
Meaning, I'm not an ungenerous person, but I think about this and I have to budget it.
Yeah.
And so that means that I'm not being unthinking about it. This is not or you could invite them to send you something or something just to delay that. Something like sometimes you can just fall back on a policy. I can remember hearing about a Hollywood star that when people would come up for him for a signature or an autograph, he would just say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't do that.
Yeah.
So it's not saying I don't do it for you. I mean, it's just something I don't do in general.
Yeah.
Sorry. I make it a policy not to lend my tools.
Yeah.
But I'm quite happy to come across and give you a hand.
Yeah.
That type of thing, because
that's so important. Yeah. Hey, can I
just that idea of, hey, this is just my general policy, but I'm still willing to help.
Yeah. Can I just flip the script on this one? Because I mean, it's such an important area, and the need for boundaries is so important. But for somebody who is perhaps starved of intimacy, of looking to find those deeper relationships where they can be open and honest and vulnerable, sometimes challenging, particularly if there's some insecurity around that, sometimes challenging on how to initiate, how to start that relationship. I mean, there may be some awkwardness there.
Yeah. I think that it's relationships. I'd be wary of relationships that go rapidly to intimacy.
Yeah.
As Donkey had to be taught, there's layers. And you know, and different cultures, different people, different personalities.
Exactly.
There's a different rate at which you're admitted to the more intimate layers.
Exactly. I'm moving in the morning, I'll make waffles isn't necessarily what you hear from somebody that you just met. No, some very good advice as always. And hey, John, appreciate what you do, your wisdom and your insight, and for being a regular contributor to the show. Bless you, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.